Welcome to Bucket List Careers, the podcast. I'm Krista Laurie. This is episode 177, and thanks for being with me. Katherine Gold is with us in studio today. She is a New York and Westchester-based interior designer who pivoted and turned her passion for beautiful, functional spaces into a thriving business. Well done, Katherine. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Krista.
Right. It's all about the pivot here on Bucket List Careers, and I'm especially intrigued and impressed by your narrative because you didn't have formal training. You dove in and built this business from the ground up, and we can't wait to hear about it. But let's dial it back first to talk about who you were professionally before you started Katherine Gold Design. So you were in education.
I was, and actually in hindsight, I'm no stranger to small pivots in my life. I actually went to graduate school for sports administration, and I first worked in professional sport. Realized that that was not the life for me, and then went back to school with my teaching degree and taught for over a decade at an Upper East Side private school. And I loved it. I left there to have 3 kids and stay at home with those 3 kids. Mm-hmm. We lived overseas. We moved from the city to Westchester. And I was just really into being a mom and being present for those 3 kids, and I loved it. I always had in the back of my mind when my youngest went to kindergarten that I was going to go back to work. Okay. And I really started thinking about what that was going to look like.
You knew that much at that point, but you didn't know exactly what you wanted to do, like in your next chapter.
Yeah, I knew that I didn't want to go back to teaching.
Okay. Why?
I loved it, but it just because of the lack of flexibility. After being off with 3 kids, I wanted to take them to school. I was involved in the elementary school. I knew that I wanted to go back to work, but not to teaching. Okay. So that was where I started getting creative about
so
what
there
am I
was an
gonna do.
aha moment for you, though. You knew you wanted to do something. You weren't sure what. What changed for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So funny enough, I always had an idea in my head about a television show. I had watched a lot of HGTV. I went through a phase where I was really into those home shows. And I had...
Weren't we all, though?
Yes. They're great. The before and afters. And I had an idea for a new concept, something that didn't exist. And I actually had some connections from living in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And I sort of researched like how to write a pitch. Anyways, I went down the path of having people sign non-disclosure agreements. Like I was really kind of getting into this TV show idea.
What was the idea about? What was the concept of it?
Well, I might have to have you sign something, Krista.
See, that's the reporter in me trying to get it out of you. Okay, all right. We'll keep moving.
So I, to make a long story short, I was given great advice and said, Katherine, if you really want to have this, I mean, if you're lucky enough, which is a long shot, to have this show idea even sold or made, you should really be a player in the game. And I love that idea. I was like, I don't want to just, give up this idea to someone else. I want to be a part of it. Right. I want to be behind the scenes a part of it. So I thought I need to get into the design world. I want to be in the design world. And I had no idea how to run a business. I did not go to business school. I had no skill set for that. But I believed in myself that I could put together a room. That I can do. So I said, okay, I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to start this. So a friend of mine put my information out on her Upper West Side moms group and said that I would design an apartment for free to build my portfolio.
Love that.
And someone snatched me up pretty quickly, and I did it. And I designed.
That was your first job?
That was my first gig.
Okay, how long ago was that?
About 3 years ago.
Oh, so it's fairly recent. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so how did it build from there?
So I loved it. That kind of sealed the deal for me. I loved every part of it. And then that was in the city. And then in Westchester, there was a new family that moved in from overseas, and they were doing a construction project. And I met them at a party, and we got talking. And I said, I can help you with that. And that I loved even more, is doing the construction.
So every room in the house...
It wasn't every room. Kind of it was a kitchen, which is a big one,
okay.
And like part of their downstairs. So I loved it, and that really sealed the deal. And then I just kind of started, there were referrals.
I was going to say, how are you marketing yourself? Was it mostly word of mouth?
A lot of word of mouth.
Okay.
And I just sort of took any job that I could get, and I just kept growing from there and loved it.
So you said you felt like leaning on your instincts has served you. You have people skills and natural eye for design. And it's great to be having word of mouth. That means you're doing a good job. But you probably knew, okay, I need to ramp this up in terms of social media. And I know you said to me that that stressed you out. So how did you get past that?
So that's, yeah. So I do have an Instagram account, and I recognize the importance of, I work in a visual field, so I recognize the importance of putting my work out into the world.
Yeah.
But yes, it's very uncomfortable for me. I'm a private person. I don't post anything about my personal life. I am starting to really work on it and get more comfortable with it, but it's been a challenge for me.
You know, I ask this question because I have a lot of guests like you, super talented, confident, but yet they're not so comfortable with social media and putting themselves out there. So how are you getting past that roadblock?
I think that I just recognize the more I'm doing, and the more photo shoots I have, and the more work and completed projects I have, that those are the images of the work that I'm doing, like, live on forever.
Yeah.
And in order for me to grow and scale my business and get more clients and bigger projects, that needs to be out there in the world, and that Instagram is a free and very valuable tool.
That's primarily how I promote my show, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's valuable. So let's talk about your aesthetic and what inspires you. You said you lived overseas. What's different and singular about your approach? There are a lot of designers out there.
That's a great question. Yeah, I think interior design's having like a really popular moment. So that's a great question. I think, New York City is absolutely my muse. And funny, on my Instagram, I actually post a lot about New York City. I'm in love with New York City, and it is the inspiration for a lot of what I do. Travel is as well, fashion. I've always been interested in that. And it's funny because fashion is an element of design, like putting things together.
Yeah.
So my design aesthetic has a lot to do with things that are sophisticated and classy and timeless. There's so many new materials out there in the world. And honestly, I like to go back to, real materials, like real marble, unlacquered brass. I always use the example of Grand Central Station. Like Grand Central Terminal, nobody goes in and says like, oh, that marble has stains on it, or that brass, the patina isn't beautiful. So I think that I really like to design in a timeless way and use real materials and old things.
Nice. And speaking of real, you also talk about functionality. You have 3 children. You like to build that into your design. I'm sure that that's popular in the suburbs.
Absolutely. I do work in the city and in Westchester, and they're very different. But I love working for families. I love working for people that have busy lives and kids and pets. And absolutely, design is where beautiful things and functionality meet. I mean, that is good design when you can blend the two of those things. So, you don't want something so beautiful that you can't touch it. You don't want your house to be a museum. And it's solving for space. So it's like a puzzle. I mean, a lot of times people reach out to me because they can't figure out how to use a space in the way that they want to use it. It's not just about making it look beautiful. It's about it being functional for what you need.
What is your favorite job that you've ever done?
Well, last year, there was a family in White Plains, and a beautiful old home. And when you walk in, there was a huge living room and a tiny dining room. And they said, we entertain all the time. We have huge meals. We have people at our house all the time. And I took a look at the living room and the dining room and said, let's swap them. So we turned a large living room into a dining room with 2 tables. And that was a challenge, but really exciting to get 2 tables and a lot of chairs in a big space that still looked cohesive and looked special. So that's been my favorite project so far.
That's really thinking out of the box, I say. You don't have formal design school training, and you have told me that this fed your imposter syndrome. Not that it comes across when I speak to you at all, but it has stymied you at times. So tell me how you navigated that.
Yeah, I think that, when I was first starting out, and it really only has been a few years, but, I didn't go to design school. I didn't go to business school. And I thought to myself, I knew I could do it, but who's going to take me seriously? Like, who's going to think that who's going to want to hire me?
Am I worth it? Right.
Right. And you know what? I think I just started doing the work. I just started taking every project that came my way. I did take classes at the New York School of Interior Design in the city. I'm lucky that that's close by. I took realtors out for lunch. I took designers that are, 5 or 6 years ahead of me out for coffee to pick their brain. I took more seminars online than you can imagine. And I just started piecing it together and doing the work. And with each completed project, I started gaining more confidence. And it really validated that, you know what, if you have a really good eye and you lean into that the rest can kind of come together.
Yeah.
And it's really something that I used to feel quite insecure about. And now it's the one thing that I'm probably the most proud of.
Well, you mentioned it's such a visual landscape, right? Mm-hmm. Is it almost better not to look at your competitors and see what they're doing and get overwhelmed or intimidated? I wonder about that sometimes because design is so much about what you see and putting it out there. But, you don't want to, I guess, in a way, look like everybody else. How do you approach that?
I think the trick is to pay attention to what's going on, but stay in your own lane. Mm-hmm. So, I have so many visions going on in my head at all times, and they're created from, all kinds of different things. Like I said, fashion, travel, New York, and I'm designing rooms in my mind at all times.
Yeah.
I do look at other people's work and what other people what other designers are doing, but not in a way to compare myself. More as like if someone's doing something that I want, I use that as inspiration for myself.
Right.
Like, okay,
Some
Katherine,
variation.
go get it. You can go do that too.
Yeah.
And something to work towards.
Yes.
It's not necessarily as a design aesthetic, but more if I see a designer involved in something or at an event or going somewhere, I use that as fuel for myself.
Inspiration.
Yes. Yeah.
But not mimicking, of course. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So based on what you've done through your lens, what are the takeaways from Katherine Gold for people listening on making the pivot, not being afraid? Clearly, you are someone who's built your business from the ground up and did it in an unafraid way. So what are your nuggets of wisdom?
So I think it's just start. There's a million reasons not to. And I think especially for people that have been doing something for a really long time and they've sort of accepted that this is what I do, this is my skill set, but really ask yourself, like, is this what I want to be doing? Or if there's something else, and identify what you love to do and really just, do yourself a favor and look at that and say, can this be more than a sideline pursuit? Yeah. For me, it started one day I dropped my son off at nursery school and I came home and I just opened my laptop and I just kind of spilled out an idea in my head. And I think that you owe it to yourself to put your ideas into action. So if you want to make a change in your life, there's always going to be reasons why it's hard or why you think you can't, but really look at the why you can and how you might be able to get there, because it's more possible than you think. And I think the fact that I have literally built something from nothing, I'm really the perfect example of that. Like I have nothing special.
Never too old, never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late.
Or to go into a completely different lane. And you probably had your list of must-haves, right? And things that you were willing to give up. I sat down with Dara Assman a couple of times. She's that career coach, and you're friends with Dara
I'm part of her group,
well.
Yes.
And she said, where you start is your list of must-haves. What are you willing to sacrifice but not sacrifice, and maybe work from there?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Dara is a big part of my life. A year ago, one of the things that I identified in my life was that this entrepreneur thing is lonely. I was really lonely, and I wanted people around me. I'm a people person, and I wanted buddies. I wanted a group. I wanted to, surround myself with people. So I joined her group, and she has brought that up. And I think that, it's really hard to start a business. It's not glamorous. It's hard work. And
it is solitary. You're right.
Yep, it is. And so joining her group has been really life-changing for me, because now I'm part of a group of women, and we've all started businesses, and we have each other. They're all different businesses, but we have each other. And, to answer your question, I was a stay-at-home mom for a lot of years. So for me, it's not lost on me that it was a little bit of a luxury to start this business without leaving a job.
Yeah.
Because I was a stay-at-home mom. And and I recognize that I was lucky in that sense, that I wasn't working. And so to kind of say, oh, I think I'll start this, there wasn't a big loss. I know that when someone is leaving a job to start something else, that's a greater risk. And I recognize that. I think that there's always going to be a period of time where there's a little bit of a loss. Like you're going to sort of go down before you go up. And
don't be discouraged by it.
I think there's no other way to do it. You're going to, whether it's in pay or time, there is going to be sort of a dip before it gets better. But if you hang in there, you can grow something that's really special and could end up being much better than what you had before.
You're proof of it.
Yeah.
So tell us where to send everybody to check out more about you. And I know you won an award recently. You have a couple awards under your belt now. So
yeah, thank you.
Let's not be shy about it, Katherine. Come on.
Thank you. You know what? That actually, I think repeat clients and referrals are the highest compliment for a designer, for anyone.
Yeah.
And yes, I was the recipient of 2 Westchester Home Design Awards in the spring, which was really an honor and also has really helped to catapult my career even just in the last several months. So that is very exciting.
It's validating, but it's also good for marketing.
But believe you me, Krista, I am learning every day, and so far from resting on my laurels. I have so much to learn, and it's almost like the more you know, the more you don't know. So I have a long way to go, and I'm setting goals for this coming year. But sorry, to answer your question.
Right, I was going to say, did we get your Instagram and did we get your website?
My Instagram is Katherine Gold Design,
Yes.
and I'm working on that. And my website is Katherine Gold Design, and I do keep that updated. There's photos of my work and a little bit about my story too.
Yeah.
About my story of how I've built this business.
So you can see more and you can learn more.
Yep.
Amazing. All right, Katherine, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us. Very inspiring, and I loved every minute of it, and I wish you the best.
Oh, thank you for having me. Just being on this podcast is a huge deal for me, so thanks so much.
Super fun. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Again, I'm Krista Laurie. This is Bucket List Careers, the podcast. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and we will see you next time.